sada pa ga ri sa re ga pa da sa ri ri sada pa ga da sa ri ga ri sada pa ga sa ri ga pa da sa. Once upon a time, there lived a demon, and that demon's name was Vrigasura. Vrigasura. He was an ambitious demon, and he dreamt of conquering the three worlds: the heaven, the earth, and the underworld. And he thought about how he would do that. There was one small problem, though. Vrigasura had no talent, no skill, no courage, and no intellect. How was he to do this? He thought about it day and night, day and night. He couldn't sleep, he couldn't rest, because he wanted to conquer the three worlds. And one day, he was visited by a rather famous guest up in the heavens. Narada, the sage. And when Vrigasura told him that this is what he wanted to do, conquer the three worlds, he thought for a second, and he whispered. And Vrigasura knew what he had to do then. Narada told him that he had to worship the great Lord Shiva. Shiva is a rather special of the three gods among the trinities. And do you know why he's special? He's special because he doesn't distinguish demon, god, worm, human. They're all equal in the eyes of Shiva, as long as you show real faith. And so, off went Vrigasura to the forest. He found himself a giant banyan tree, and he decided to meditate. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. The first year passed. No Shiva. Okay? He thought, let's change our position, maybe that's what it is. And he sat up. And he meditated, he continued to meditate. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Year 2, year 3, year 4 passed. Still no Shiva. He didn't let go. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 years passed, still no Shiva. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Through rain, through storm, nothing would stop him. His beard grew long, his feet grew roots, and still no Shiva. And then one day, as if by magic, he saw a great pillar of light, and there stood Shiva. He looked up and down at Vrigasura and said, "You've meditated on me for long years. Tell me, son, what can I do for you?" Now Vrigasura sat there with his mouth wide open, And he'd forgotten what he was doing for all these years, and he'd forgotten why he was there. He hadn't even spoken to anyone, so he couldn't find his voice. So he said, and then he remembered in a flash that he was there to ask for a boon. Ask for a boon so he could conquer the three worlds, the skies, the heavens, the earth, and the underworld. And he remembered and he said, Shiva, grant me the boon of immortality, he said. And Shiva looked at him and smiled and said, no. Oh. No? Okay. And he said, ask for anything else. Mrigasura thought and thought. And he said the first thing that came out of his mouth. And he said, grant me the boon that will give my hands the power to turn anything into ashes. Shiva smiled and said, Tathastu, and prepared to leave. And at that point, Mrigasura said, but how do I know that this boon works, great Lord? Can I try it on you? Shiva was in a soup and he started to run. He started to run and Mrigasura followed. It was a chase. And as Shiva ran, he screamed at the top of his voice for the great Lord Vishnu. Vishnu! And he screamed and he ran. Vishnu at that time was having a siesta. He opened his eyes and looked down upon the earth. And he rolled his eyes and said, Shiva. He smiled and he turned into the most beautiful woman in the universe, Mohini. And he came down from the skies, down to the earth, and into that forest where the chase was happening. And he stood there as Mohini, waiting for Mrigasura to pass by. Shiva had by then escaped, and he was hiding behind a rock. And Mrigasura knew that he was close, and he ran. And just as he ran, something caught his eyes, something beautiful. She was standing there, waiting for him to come by again. And Mrigasura came back and stared at the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. She was resplendent. Her hair was long and touched the earth. Her face was fair like the moon and round. Her cheeks were pink, her lips were red like the rubies. She was indeed the most beautiful thing. And Mrigasura dropped to his knees, and his jaw dropped to the ground. And the first thing he said when he spoke was, "Will you marry me?" Mohini looked at him and said, "Yes." And he was overjoyed. And then she said the word, "But I have taken an oath that I will only marry a man who can match me in dance." It was a rather odd oath. And he said, "Of course I can match you in dance. I'm going to do this. I'm going to marry the most beautiful woman on this universe. Of course I can match you in dance." And then she looked at him and said, "Shall we have a duel then?" And he said, "Yes." And so all of the celestial beings looked down from the sky down to this earth. The animals all gathered because they knew something special was about to happen. The clouds parted. It was a full moon night, and the moon shone its light down to the earth, almost like a spotlight, right in the middle of the forest. And she stood in that spotlight. Sigh, 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 sigh. Sa, 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 sa. Re, 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 re. Re, 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 re. Ga, 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 ga. Ga, 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 ga. Pa, 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 pa. Pa, 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 pa. Da, 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 da. Sa, oh, sa, 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 sa. Unwittingly, Brigasura ended up touching himself on the head and was destroyed. He just became a pile of ashes on the floor. Mohini looked at the ashes, wished him well, and transformed back into Vishnu and went back into the heavens. You see, sometimes it takes a woman to save a man, even if that man happens to be the great Lord Shiva.